Hi guys, so I think it's important for media commentators to highlight issues that affect ordinary people and not just focus on fluff. But in this clip, Nick Ferrari basically gaslights the public. What I'm talking about is this. He does two things in this rant. He tries to get people to think that Boris Johnson is working on dealing with the cost of living crisis. However, we've yet to see anything tangible. And second, that the Prime Minister breaking the law is something that nobody really cares about. Have a listen.
How much do you care now? It's surely enough already. You've got a packet of pasta, dry pasta, now costs £1. I honestly think that Mrs. Jones in Clapham is more concerned about that. Fortunately, she doesn't need to turn the heating on at the moment, but she's looking nervously over her shoulder at the impending autumn and then the winter because of the heating bills that are coming this way. Ukraine can't produce any sunflower oil, so that's going through the roof. Your fish and chip shop might be about to close down, and we're meant to care about who called the bloody meeting between Sue Gray and the PM. Nobody cares.
But many people care, Nick. Now, the problem with this type of argumentation is what he's trying to do is he's trying to suggest that, look, the government can only focus on one problem at a time, which obviously is not true. The government can focus on Brexit. Remember when it came to Brexit, they were meant to be focusing on the pandemic and they focused on Brexit instead, and both ended up a disaster. But let's park that for a moment. The problem here is that, yes, there is a cost of living crisis and the government should be dealing with it. The government are not dealing with it. And it's not that they're not dealing with it because they have too much on their plate or that Boris Johnson is having to deal with the fact that he broke the law. There is a cost of living crisis. The government should be dealing with it, and they're not. But once again, it's not because they have too much to deal with. And if we take stuff off the plate, that they will actually deal with the cost of living crisis. That's not how it works. It's not Boris Johnson's decision ultimately. It's the Chancellor. The Chancellor can decide to free up more money to different departments, and they can help people out. But, if you look at the track record of the Tories, they're not interested in helping people out. And even Nick Ferrari himself, if you listen to him over the last number of years, he's been criticising people who are unemployed, saying that they're basically lazy. And recently he's been criticising people from working from home, basically saying that they're lazy too. So I'm a little bit skeptical when he runs this line of he's concerned about the cost of living crisis. Maybe he is, but I don't know. The fundamental problem here is that if Boris Johnson is not being held to account by the civil service or by allegedly independent bodies headed by like Sue Gray, if Boris Johnson can influence them, it means that Boris Johnson and the role of Prime Minister cannot be held to account. Now, how does this tie in with the cost of living crisis? Well, if Boris Johnson can't be held to account, then how can you put pressure on him to fix this crisis? He can do whatever the hell he wants. He can say, well, I'm not going to bother helping people out. I'll just tell them that we've spent 200 million here or 2,000 pounds here or 500 million there or whatever. That's all that he has to do. And if the media don't hold him to account, and if Parliament can't hold him to account, and if so-called independent bodies headed by the likes of Sue Gray don't hold him to account, then how can you fix this crisis? Or how can you at least pressure him to do so? He has an 80-seat majority, more or less. He's done pretty much nothing to deal with this crisis. And Nick Ferrari is trying to distract here by saying that nobody really cares about whether Boris Johnson broke the law or whether he met with Sue Gray or whether there's corruption or whether there's true independence of the civil service. Yes, it's not directly related to the cost of living crisis, but in order to deal with these crises, you need a government to be held to account. And that's not what's happening at the moment. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.